Good morning and welcome back to Core 4 Adventures. We are continuing our cruise here on Alma Waterways down the Danube. We have spent a relaxing morning sleeping in, having a late breakfast, and now we're going to be doing some scenic cruising today. We're going to be going through the Wachau Valley, and this is what our cruise manager said is the answer to the Rhine River Gorge. It's the Danube's answer to the Rhine River Gorge. So I'm expecting to see some beautiful scenery, some vineyards, and some castles, and we can't wait to share them with you. Pepper and Laura are still getting ready. They're going to be joining me in just a little bit. It's kind of gray and overcast today, but I've got a blanket right here. I've got my fuzzy fleece on. I've got a book to read, and I can't wait to just spend a relaxing morning here on the Amalea.
As we cruise down the Danube into the Wachau Valley, the views just keep getting better. The colorful houses line the riverbank with a charming church tucked right into the town. Up ahead, we approach the Melk Lock, and perched high above it all is Melk Abbey, a stunning Baroque monastery that's been here for nearly 1,000 years, sitting high on the hill overlooking the river and the valley below.
As we enter Melk Lock, it's impressive to see the engineering up close. This lock is part of the Melk Hydroelectric Power Station, which uses the river's flow to generate electricity for the region. It's a clever setup, combining energy production with river navigation, allowing ships like ours to move safely between the different water levels on the Danube. The lock chamber here is about 230 meters long and just wide enough for us and another ship to pass through side by side, a surprisingly tight fit. It feels like you can reach out and touch the other ship. I think that heading in this direction, west to east, gives you the best possible view of Melk Abbey, perched high above the valley.
Okay, so we're in the lock. We've got a ship right next to us, and the water level is going down because we are stepping down to the next level of the river. And any moment now, these doors are going to open up, and we're going to be able to sail out to continue our Danube cruise this morning.
These locks have been too cool. You start up at a higher level and your ship just lowers down slowly, and then you're even with the water and out you go.
And if you're going the opposite direction, you get the water raises you up. So it's actually an amazing part of engineering. I find it fascinating.
I can't get up alone, too heavy on my own. The world is moving on, I'm still standing here, searching for steady ground, a place to settle down. No reasons left to find. One day I'll change your mind.
So we made it through the lock, and now we're getting rewarded with a beautiful view of the Melk Abbey right there on the Danube, and we are getting ready to go to the Wachau Valley. It's just been a lovely day of cruising and relaxing. They served us some specific food, a little like onion cheese quiche tart, and a special drink to celebrate the fact that we are going into the Wachau Valley. And it looks like there's a castle coming up here on our left. We're going to check that out.
Castle on the left.
And it won't come easy, but I know it's worth the fight. And I will run across the rivers anywhere with you. I won't give up, I'll take my chances, and I will follow you through the night.
Okay, as promised, we're going to be seeing castles today, and this is the Schönberg Castle. It's a privately owned castle that was built in the 12th century, so it's privately owned, which means you cannot tour it, but you can see it from the Danube as we are cruising on past. Just beautiful.
We're going past some of the first vineyards in the Wachau Valley, and it's absolutely spectacular looking. One of the cool things that we've learned is that the vineyards were owned by and worked by the monks in the monasteries, truly owned by Charlemagne back in the day, because he owned everything around here. But they worked the vineyards and they made the wine because it was way safer to drink than the water.
I make the same mistakes, forget how much it takes, no reasons left behind, one day I'll make you mine.
So the ruins of the castle right behind me is where some of the nobility lived, and their job was to collect taxes on people floating up and down the river. So they would have a chain linked from side to side from each of the riverbanks, and as people came by, they would have to pay taxes to get them to lower that chain so that they could continue on their journey.
And it won't come easy, but I know it's worth the fight.
So it's the Dürnstein castle that is above us on this hill, and it is now owned by the village, and they've turned it into a museum and a hotel and a restaurant.
And I know you can see it too, so keep me hanging on, and I will run across the rivers anywhere with you. I won't give up, I'll take my chances, and I will follow you through the night.
This is the town of Spitz. It has actually two castles within the town. The upper castle that you can see behind me was destroyed in the mid-1600s during the 30 Years' War, and the other castle you can't see from the river because it's hidden by the cliffs over there. This town has one of only 2 ferries during the entire Wachau Valley, and you'll notice as we're going through the valley that there's no bridges in the valley, so you have to use one of the ferries. The church bells are ringing because it's noon, but I wanted to show you all the vineyards terraced into the mountains. How cool is that?
I'll follow you. I make the same mistakes, forget how much it takes, no reasons left behind, one day I'll make you mine.
We just passed the oldest church on the Danube River. It's over 1,100 years old, and it is got 7 rabbits on the ridgeline of the roof, of the lower roof of the church.
And it won't come easy, but I know it's worth the fight. And I know you can see it too, so keep me hanging on, and I will run across the rivers anywhere with you. I won't give up, I'll take my chances, and I will follow you through the night.
As we wrap up our scenic cruising, we float past the town of Durnstein, easily one of the most picturesque stops along the Danube. Its striking white and blue church tower is a Wachau Valley landmark, rising right from the edge of the river.
The town itself is small but full of charm, with cobblestone streets, vineyards, and centuries-old buildings. And up on the hill behind it, you can spot the ruins of the castle where King Richard the Lionheart was famously held prisoner in the 12th century. We can't wait to check this town out after lunch. back in our room just relaxing after lunch. And one thing that I wanted to point out for you is that they do laundry service here on the Alma Waterways ships. So it's really easy. You just fill out the sheet of the items that you're going to be putting in your laundry bag. And that's right here. So we just put a handful of items that we need to get washed in our laundry bag. We filled out the sheet for our laundry service, and they will pick it up when they do our turn down service tonight, and we will have it back tomorrow or the next day. We're not in a hurry for any of this laundry, but we wanted to refresh the clothes that we're wearing on the airplane home and a couple other items so that we didn't have to pack so much. Totaled up, it's going to be like 21 euros to get an entire bag of laundry done for us on the ship, and you can't beat that convenience. All right, so we are getting ready to go on our tour of Durnstein. We opted for the apricot and wine tasting tour.
Cannot wait for the apricots. This area is known for their apricots. They aren't quite blooming just yet.
But hey, they've got some from last year we're going to try. We get on a bus and take it about 15 minutes to Dürnstein. After a very short bus ride, we've landed in Dürnstein, and we have a short walk to get to the old town center.
Durnstein has been a fortified town since the 12th century. It was once part of the powerful Augustinian monastery that controlled much of the Wachau Valley. The striking blue church tower was built in the 1700s in a high Baroque style and has become one of the most photographed spots along the entire Danube.
Dürnstein is known for its wine production, especially Gruner Veltliner and Riesling, and its town center is protected by Austria as a historical monument. Walking through its narrow streets really does feel like stepping back in time. Even though it's tiny, it's one of those places that leaves a big impression.
Up ahead, you can see the tall wall that once surrounded a nunnery. The nuns lived here for centuries before eventually leaving, and the town later converted the building into a granary to store their harvest. And here is the old bathhouse. Back in the day, this is where locals would come to get cleaned up, long before modern plumbing was a thing.
Right outside stands the pillory, where people who committed minor offenses were chained and publicly shamed. It was an effective way to enforce the town's rules, a small but striking reminder of medieval justice and daily life in the Riverside town. Next up, we got to try a local treat called rabbit.
These are wine grapes with dark chocolate around and pieces of the apricot. And we are calling it the rabbit.
When in Dürnstein.
After that little treat, we headed into the beautiful Dürnstein Abbey for a special experience.
Well, we just finished our apricot tasting here in Dürnstein, and it was pretty amazing. Super fresh apricots. They gave us 2 spirits, a jam, and little gummies.
My favorite was the gummy. I am a sucker for gummy candies like Haribo, and he said that the owner is also a fan of Haribo, and so he made his own apricot gummies in the shape of a heart, and they were delicious. I got to go find some of those.
They were absolutely fantastic. Dürnstein has been such a cool city. This town is famous because it housed Richard the Lionheart as a prisoner for many years, and his mother moved heaven and earth to get him back home, but then he died just 2 years after he returned.
So we have about an hour and a half now to go explore on our own, and then we are going to be doing some wine tasting later this afternoon, so let's go. Just taking a little walk through the little medieval town, as you do. So we walked to the end of the medieval town, and you've got a great view of the castle ruins up here on the rock.
Laura made reference to Richard the Lionheart earlier about being held prisoner here. He was captured in this area by the Austrians, hiding out with a couple of servants, trying to travel low-key so he wouldn't get noticed, wouldn't get caught. She said he got caught because of the money he was using, and they tracked him down. When they alerted the throne that they had him, his mother basically sold the farm to get him back to the tune of, she said, roughly $7.9 billion in today's money. That money, that silver, still runs through some of the coins in this region hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later.
That's a mother's love. Yeah, I really like Dürnstein. It's a very small medieval town, but the great part about it was the apricot tasting. We are going to head back to the bus now and then head over to some wine tasting in another little village. I think we're going back to Weissenkirchen for that.
And just like that, we're back in Weissenkirchen.
And we're on our way to go do some wine tasting. I'm very excited because they specialize in dry white wines here in the Wachau Valley, and that's my favorite.
That is completely our wheelhouse. It's starting to rain just a little. The weather is very sketchy this time of year, just be prepared for that. But it's absolutely lovely.
All right, so here we are. They brought us to a little tavern, old school tavern, and the guy that's going to lead our wine tasting is the same guy who did the apricot tasting and spirits tasting earlier this afternoon. All right, so the first wine he said was our lightest Grüner Veltliner. It's around 11% and super light and really refreshing. What we call in the States a porch pounder or a lawnmower wine. You know, some people like to have a glass of something refreshing after maybe a hot, summer day of working in the yard. This is the one you want.
So we just finished our second glass. It was definitely, I just finished my second glass. Definitely a bigger wine. I felt it was a little more smokier, more fruit flavor, and a little bit more of the alcohol content. He said it was 12.5%.
Right, compared to 11.5% in the first one. So it's got a little higher alcohol content, a little more robust flavor. He says it's a riper grape and it's grown on the lower terraces compared to the valley floor. So the third wine is called Scenic, and it is grown on the highest of the terraces here, and it's going to be a little higher concentration of alcohol, 12.5% or higher, and it's definitely a lot more complex.
A lot more fruit forward. It had some even like pineapple and like tropical fruit flavors to it. And something that I found out that makes so much sense to me is that they never put this in oak barrels. It's all stainless, which is probably why I like it so much.
We wrapped up our wine tasting with a delightful dry Riesling. Every wine we had today was a hit.
Had a great time wine tasting here in the Wachau Valley, or as we call it, wine drinking.
Wine drinking. There's no point other than wine drinking. Yeah. It was delicious. The wines were in our wheelhouse, every single one of them. And we learned so many cool things about the place that they grow the wine within the valley and the age of the wine that makes so much of a difference.
And so if you're like us and you like crisp white wines that are not put in oak barrels but are in stainless, this is the place to come. So now we're heading back to the ship for a little relaxation before our sip and sail and dinner tonight.
Back on the ship, we had another amazing dinner. The food on this cruise just simply cannot be beat. Hey everybody, it's Pepper from the future. Because we had so much fun this day, we lost the footage of our outro, with all the apricot tasting, the liquor tasting, the wine tasting, all amazing dinners that you get on the Alma Waterways cruise. Let's just say the wine won. We'll see you next time on Core 4 Adventure.